Hi everyone, this is Joe Papano. I'm Vice President at FiberLink, and one of the many people here who's responsible for each of you, our customers, being successful using our products and services, and obviously to help meet your enterprise mobility goals and needs. We've been doing a number of webinars that I'm sure many of the customers, you folks as well, have been part of over the past 6 months or a year. And we often ask customers what we should be, customers will often ask us what I should be doing to manage and secure mobile devices in our business, and that's really obviously what our focus is. And in order to help give you better answers to that question, we've started this webinar series to introduce, review the mobile device management features that we add to MaaS360 and continue to add to MaaS360. If this is new to you, we launched our MDM capabilities last spring with BlackBerry support, and at the very end of 2010 we rounded it out with the addition of support for all the major mobile platforms, including iOS and Android. And obviously we're going to continue to expand it here in 2011 with additional functionality like enterprise app stores and in-depth security and compliance features. So thanks for joining. We've got John Dale and Val Hetrick here, and they're going to work through everything that's new here at FiberLink related to mobile device management. So thanks for joining, John, Val.
Thank you, Joe. As Joe mentioned, my name is Jonathan Dale, Product Marketing Manager. And I think most folks on the call understand that FiberLink's really been around for the past 20 years. And we have a very proud customer base using us to solve a variety of mobility challenges. Some companies are leveraging us for our universal wireless client, while others really have implemented our visibility and control service for more traditional desktop management functions. As a company, FiberLink continues to grow and provide solutions around the most complex mobile challenges, and that's really what we're here today to talk about. It's about learning how the MaaS360 platform can provide management for you across any of your smartphones and tablets in the same award-winning interface that you get to experience today on a daily basis. In a recent meeting with Gartner that we had, it was mentioned that over 200 new tablets and over 250 new smartphones are going to hit the market this year alone. And any one of you can reach out to an analyst firm and hear their prediction of the millions of iPads which are going to grace the halls and offices of global companies. Again, specific to this year. All of these devices and the trends we're going to talk about later today add up to opportunities. Opportunities for companies to have happier employees, to increase productivity per employee, and it even goes as far as the opportunity to lower support costs around traditional mobile workers, especially workers who are currently using and love their BlackBerries. And I'm one of the ones who love their BlackBerry device. So there's other advantages, and we're not going to talk today about all of them, but you can look at a competitive advantage, such as having an application on everyone's smartphone or tablet device that talks about the competition. So you get instant email instant notification about what competitors are doing, and your sales force can leverage that. So there's lots of advantages. Well, with the advantages, with all these opportunities comes a cost, and it's a new cost to us. It's a new concern. It's the concern of having to delicately balance business with pleasure. We haven't had to do that in the laptop or desktop world too much. The cost of having to balance corporate data versus someone's personal data on a device. And the concerns around security. So the traditional security approach of having a tight lockdown on the device just doesn't work for the openness necessary in our new mobile norm. So for getting us into this situation, there's a few people we can thank. I'd like to thank our executives or anyone that is referred to as on Mahogany Row for really forcing IT's hand at supporting these new device types. And we really can't neglect to thank Apple and Google for making killer devices that are actually a lot of fun. So to support the tablets and smartphones in today's age, IT is really forced to adopt and wants to adopt true mobile device management solutions. So before we talk about the solution, I thought it would be fun to show three key trends right now that affect everyone on the line. And the first trend is talking about the support of multiple operating systems. Now, the data you're seeing in front of you is from our website. It's data and polling we collected from our website, from our Master Center, and from our More webinar series. So in January 2010, about 18% of the companies polled were supporting 3 or more operating systems. And not a year later, in September of 2010, a whopping 66% of these companies were supporting 3 or more devices. You know, that jump of supporting multiple devices has a direct effect on the pressure and the cost to IT organizations. The second trend I think everyone is feeling, and I'm actually amazed by this one, is that organizations are beginning to support and adopt personal devices. So in the firms and in the prospects, our customers that we're talking to, over 50% of them in growing are now open to support personal devices or actively looking to support personal devices. And I really wish I had polling data showing 18 months ago, because 18 months ago I doubt very many, if any of those companies, were actively looking or thinking that they would be supporting personal devices at this point in time. So to slow down just a second, I'd like to launch a poll here in this webinar. And the poll is going to ask a basic question for us. You know, did you know that MaaS360 can manage smartphones and tablets? We're just trying to get an understanding. And this poll will go on for 30 seconds here. While the poll is going on, I want to address the third trend, and we'll share the polling data. But I want to address the third trend today, and that's specific to what companies' priorities are around mobile device management. So the priorities around smartphones and tablets. And you can see on the graph, if you concentrate on the items that are, say, around 50% or more, we're looking at basic blocking and tackling, enforcing a passcode policy. Just like you enforce a passcode policy on the laptop, organizations are ensuring that they do that for smartphone and tablets. Encryption was at 56%. Again, why? Well, compliance concerns and regulations still hold true, whether it's a handheld like an iOS device or an Android device, or whether it's a laptop. Encryption is still a huge, not only best practice, but a huge concern from a data risk. Remote wipe, 50%, having the ability to reach out and actually kill that device if it's lost or stolen. And then the other one I wanted to mention that's under 50%, but it's the next highest, which is 44%, over-the-air configuration. This is the ability to implement tools to help with the provisioning of email, the provisioning of Wi-Fi profiles, VPN profiles, and some additional characteristics associated specific to Wi-Fi and tablets. Okay, I think our poll's closed. We appreciate you taking that poll, and it looks like at this point almost 70% of the folks on the line did know and were aware that we were managing mobile devices, and we appreciate that feedback. We are trying to get the word out more and more about new technologies that we release. So with all of that said, it really brings us to how MaaS360 can help you manage these devices, and that's why we're here. So effective immediately, you can receive the ability to manage smartphones and tablets in the same MaaS360 environment that you have today. And in about 10 to 15 minutes max, after we do a live demo for you, we're going to go over the 3 steps to take so you can start taking advantage of this. So hang with us just a few more minutes. So customers, let's boil this down again. Customers who are using MaaS360 today for desktop management, and so desktop management, they may be pushing OS patches, they may be uploading customized software packages and then distributing them to all of their endpoints, or using MaaS360 to understand their hardware and software inventory. the same customers, you guys that are leveraging desktop management functions, you'll now be able to see smartphones in that same environment, and then be able to take actions on those smartphones and tablets, such as remotely wiping the device or pushing a Wi-Fi profile. So full management of mobile devices in the same interface. And we continue to say that is really our one system, one window approach to managing devices. So how do we do that? How do we actually tie into an iOS device or an Android device? And so what MaaS360 has done is we've provided the ability to take a breadth approach and a depth approach. And for a breadth approach, any device that's syncing with your Lotus Notes or your Exchange ActiveSync environment, you'll be able to see and do basic policy management in MaaS360. That's the breadth, any device. And that device could be Windows 7, Windows Mobile, could be a Symbian device, could even be an iOS or an Android device. That's breadth. And for depth, for iOS and for Android devices right now, we have additional security and policy options that you could take advantage of. And so for an iOS device, we've integrated and can talk to iOS via Apple's published MDM API. It's an agentless approach. It takes about 2 to 3 minutes to enroll an iOS device, and it is the easiest user-friendly experience on the market of any mobile device management provider. For an Android device, we've elected to have an actual agent that runs on the device. And once again, we've streamlined the process both for IT administration and for users to get devices enrolled. For Android, once again, it's only about a 2 to 3 minute installation process, extremely intuitive to the user. So if you think about it a different way, there's 2 levels of mobile device management. There's a level 1 approach, which is anything leveraging your email infrastructure today you want to have visibility to. You want to know what those devices are, and you want to be able to take some control over those devices. We have you covered. And for devices that you want to have additional functionality with iOS or Android, we have you covered there as well. All this rolls into MaaS360, provides both the day-to-day management as well as the business intelligence reporting you're used to seeing. A lot of times we speak with organizations that are already doing mobile device management, either via Lotus Notes Traveler or via Exchange ActiveSync. And they're wondering, why should I or why do I need to expand to additional management capabilities specific to iOS or Android devices? And it's a fairly simple explanation. There's only so much you can do today around leveraging ActiveSync. And so the integration into iOS devices allows for more granular support, such as doing a select wipe, removing all corporate data from the device, but leaving personal files, such as photos and music, or being able to push a Wi-Fi profile, managing Wi-Fi for your smart devices, right, smartphones and tablets, just like you manage Wi-Fi across your desktop and laptop population. Same holds true for VPN. Now, that's only a couple of ones. It's like the tip of the iceberg of what you can do. We've yet to talk about application blacklisting or corporate app stores as an example. And those are other reasons why you would want increased functionality to an iOS or Android device. So as I set Val up to go into a live portal demonstration here, I want to hit on what you're going to see in the next 10 minutes. You're going to see an instant real-time environment across any smartphone or tablet device. You're going to be able to see the ability to push actions around those devices and what those actions are. And you're going to be able to see an environment at exactly that. A company view at an environment level to understand what's installed and what the status of those devices are. Okay. With that said, Val, I'll turn it over to you for a live demo.
Thank you, John. Folks, just bear with me 1 second while I share out my desktop with you. Should just be 1 moment.
And Val went, well, okay, that's fine.
You want to do the poll?
It's okay, we don't have to do the poll now. Let's go right into the live demo.
Okay,
Thanks.
great. So as John has indicated, I'm going to give you kind of a quick overview of some of the new features in MaaS360, specifically surrounding the mobile device management capabilities. So I've logged into one of our demo environments here. One of the first easy things, we are able to provide a quick search capability. So if you had a user that called in and was having a problem with their smartphone, or say lost their smartphone, for example, you could do a quick search on that user, and that will bring you back all the results that may contain his username. And what we're looking at right now is our Smart Search capability. And you can see it's pretty granular in terms of the different things you can search on to bring that data back to you. So here I've done a search on Jay Bell, which gave me Jamie Ballingy, and we can see he has 3 devices. So he doesn't have a particular laptop or desktop agent installed, but if he had our visibility agent or our mobility agent, those records would show up here as well. Jamie's lost his iPhone, so we're going to go and take a look at that particular device and make sure that it is at least was secured when it was lost or taken. So this brings us into our device view screen, and what you're looking at right now is the summary data. And you can see some important information about the type of device that it was, the network information in terms of its phone number, its home carrier, and probably the more important section is the security and compliance area. So from an iPhone perspective, you can see if the device is jailbroken. We can make sure that the encryption was on and that they had a compliant passcode policy. So at least whoever picks this phone up will not be able to log on to the phone because it is password compliant. One of the other unique things that we can show is our software installed. So if you did have particular software you didn't want installed in your environment, you could take a look here just to do some additional troubleshooting. And you can see we can pull back the application name, the ID, the version, and probably more importantly the size and the amount of space it's taking up on the device itself. With that, I'm going to show you some of the actions that you can take that John mentioned. We have 2 sets of actions. We have MDM actions and we have the ActiveSync actions. So this particular environment is integrated for all 3 of our solutions that we're talking to you about today. So we have the ActiveSync data that we're pulling back, and we also have the MDM actions that Apple's API allows us to leverage. So you can see items like refresh device information. You can send a remote lock to the device. If a user forgets their passcode, you could reset that passcode for them. And then you have the wipe and selective wipe capabilities. The full wipe obviously would take the phone back to factory defaults, and the selective wipe is what John mentioned earlier in terms of just removing that corporate data. Under the ActiveSync actions, for both Exchange 2007 and Exchange 2010, we've introduced some auto-quarantine capabilities. So you'll see right now that Jamie's device is allowed, so it went through the quarantine workflow to notify the administrator that somebody was ActiveSyncing a device to their environment, and that device was approved. If I wanted to stop this device from getting its email right now, I could issue a block action, and that would prevent any additional data from getting down to the phone. There's also some policy management that we'll look at that John alluded to as well. So that being said, I did want to just show you some of the Android pieces. So I'm going to go back to my search results here real quick. The overall look and feel for Android is about the same. As John mentioned, there is an agent. One of the things I also wanted to mention is both of these devices were enrolled over the air. So they were sent a URL in their email or via text message that allowed them to click on it and enroll over the air. So it's nothing necessarily the IT guy has to set up, ahead of time. From an Android perspective, the thing I wanted to show that a lot of our customers are liking right now is the locate device functionality. And as long as you have, GPS enabled on your Android devices, the locate will tell you, where that device is. But you'll see it's very similar look and feel. So that's the high-level device view. We do offer some business intelligence reporting with some nice dashboarding that we'll look at now. So the first thing we're going to look at here is your mobile device overview. And the couple points we want to drive home with these particular graphs here is you can use MaaS360 to track your corporate-owned devices versus your employee-owned devices. So that will allow you to get an idea of any maybe cost savings you're having or any additional management that has been taken off of your finance department. You also can see the dispersion of platforms over on the right-hand side here in terms of the number of iOSs, the number of Androids, and then other, and then we can also categorize for smartphone and tablet. So there's a lot more we could look at here, but we want to get into just a couple quick other graphs. I did want to show you the All Devices Security Overview, and this is essentially a combination of all of your smartphones, your tablets, and if you are an existing customer who is leveraging our desktop or laptop products, those would be brought into these views as well. So this is the one window approach. You can go into the individual reports as well if you wanted to just break out the smartphone pieces. But here what you're looking at on the left is our agent-managed mobile devices by its security state. So we do kind of categorize into red, yellow, and green for you. And then we also show why people may be out of compliance based on vulnerability. So as John mentioned, most of the concerns right now are around encryption or passcodes being out of compliance. So you can get a quick look here that 2 out of 5 of the devices don't have a passcode, and also those same 2 don't have any type of encryption installed. So I'm going to drill down into my approved devices that are in a critical state to see what may be wrong with them. And we'll be brought into another screen here. And if we look at the first record, the device passcode is not enabled. So we require a passcode to be on the device. Clearly this person is in a policy that doesn't allow or doesn't force a password to be required. And from here, you could go click right back into the device view and push a policy to that user that then would prompt them to enter a passcode on their phone. And you would do that from the Change iOS Policy workdown. And here you could set a iOS complex passcode policy, for example, that's been predefined. So speaking of policies, we did just want to give you a preview of our new policy self-service. This is one of our demo environments, so there's quite a few policies here. So let me find the one I want to show you, which is going to be our default iOS policy. And anybody who may be familiar with Exchange or with the iPhone configuration utility, you'll see some of these options are kind of laid out in a similar way. So we do provide just kind of a nicer window and a nicer workflow to show that information. So this is our default policy, and on the left-hand side you can see all of the things that you can do that John was referring to. Setting a passcode policy. You can place certain restrictions on the phone, so if you didn't want people installing applications, you could prevent access from the App Store using iTunes. You can push down your various wireless profiles, your VPN profiles. If we edit this, it'll open up some of the options, but as many of you are probably aware, iOS has Cisco and some other capabilities built into their devices. So here you can see what's available to you. So if you were using Cisco, you could define your particular information here. Prevent you from having to give shared secrets and group usernames and passwords to your users. And the other good one here is the Exchange ActiveSync settings. So now instead of having to give out your Exchange settings to each individual user to ActiveSync their device, you could push those down through the enrollment when they opt in to the iOS MDM management. It makes it pretty seamless for them just to enter a password to go ahead and configure their mail. Apple has some additional advanced settings here as well that you can take advantage of. And then we do offer a pretty quick save and publish feature that would immediately push this out to anybody who was already assigned to this policy. We're going to go ahead and cancel that for right now. But that same policy flow will look the same through Android and through Exchange, just with various differences in terms of the features that the different manufacturers offer. So the last place I wanted to end up was on our watch list on our homepage here. And the watch list is meant to be kind of a quick hit information for you to identify your overall device environment. So here you can quickly see devices that may have data sharing software installed, devices that don't have good encryption, or any new devices that may be, pending approval. So you'll see some of those there, and those can be emailed out to your administrators on a daily or weekly basis, so you can check your status every morning when you come in. So that was pretty much what I wanted to cover off, so I will go ahead and hand it back to John.
All right, thank you very much, Val. Appreciate the walkthrough. The idea today was to ensure that everyone was aware that MaaS360 platform can in fact help you with your smartphone and tablets. And we wanted to give you a preview, if you had not seen it already, into what does it look like, what does it feel like, and how easy is it. So hopefully we accomplished just that, and now we're going to go through and actually talk to you about how you get started. And while we do that, Joe, if you want to launch our last poll, thank you. The poll's launched. We're going to tell you how to get started, but I'd love for you to just fill out this quick poll. Again, 30 seconds. How is your organization currently managing mobile devices? And you can select all that apply here. If you take a second to please do so, we'd appreciate that. So, also, how do you get started with us? You can do 3 simple things as an existing customer. You can go ahead and email OPS, so ops@fiberlink.com, and just let them know you'd like to begin an evaluation and begin managing your smartphone and tablets. You can contact your account manager directly, or you can simply give us a call at our customer support line 24/7. There are 3 simple ways to reach out to us, and any one of those ways will ensure you get to the right folks. Odds are you end up with someone on Val's team, which is Customer Platform Services, and we walk you through how to get started. As part of that, we'll also take additional time and walk you through anything you want in the platform, whether that's best practices around mobile device management policies, or whether that's just a deeper understanding of how we connect and integrate with your mail and even Active Directory environments. Happy to do so. Okay. I think we'll talk about the poll question here, but I think we're going to open it up to questions at this point, so for some Q&A. And so for some Q&A, you can feel free to use either the chat feature or the Q&A feature on the WebEx itself. And the polling is still there. It looks like 80, not a surprise, 80% individuals have a BES server. 50% of folks are actually using Exchange ActiveSync to manage devices, and then you have another 30 and a 30%, someone using a third-party application or third-party provider to manage mobile devices, and 30% not currently managing their devices today.
John, a couple of questions have come in here. First question is, has what you just demonstrated, is it available now?
Oh, it is available now. So everything we've talked about here is available for immediate use, and so we appreciate that. And to clarify, you simply need to reach out to us, and we'll get you started there. Yep.
Next question is, how is the service licensed or priced?
The service is licensed and priced similar to how most of our customers are contracted today, and that's on a per device, per month basis.
Another question that came in, does MaaS360 support Novell group-wise?
Today we are only integrating with our with Exchange ActiveSync capabilities and Lotus Traveler. We're continuing to evaluate the market to see where additional integration makes sense.
In addition to that, just to clarify, from a group-wise perspective, from an integration with it, Val's answer is correct. However, one thing that is very nice, you could take advantage and get full management capabilities of iOS and Android devices today via our integration with Apple's MDM API and our Android agent. So you would not get email integration and be able to take advantage of auto discovery in your environment. However, you would be able to control your iOS and Android devices properly and securely.
Next question, are there any limitations on the number or type of devices that can be managed?
I guess I'll address that question. Good question. There are no numbers, there are no limits, there are no caps. In fact, one nice thing with MaaS360 most folks are aware of is that it scales independently of what you're doing. And so we have customers of well upwards of over 100,000 seats deployed or clients managed, and we have companies that have 50 devices that are managed. MaaS360 scales, and we take care of that for you. So no, there are no limits.
Next question is, does MaaS360 provide information about cellular performance like drop calls?
No, at this point in time, we have not developed our solution to provide, I guess, service monitoring around items such as drop calls. It's not something that we would ignore. However, from a priority perspective right now and listening to what most of our customers have asked for, that is not on their highest priority list for 2011. We're always evaluating, though, what our priorities or what are our customer priorities.
Another question just rolled in. Do you integrate with Touchdown to provide encryption on Android devices?
Sure. So we will very soon. We are developing a product right now where we would be able to help enforce the Touchdown app be installed on Androids and configure mail settings, and to take advantage of some of the additional Touchdown functionality that they provide via the policy settings.
Yeah, and to clarify, when Val mentioned soon, I believe that is in the next 30 days. So
very soon.
So very soon.
Very soon.
Next question, how long does it take to get an evaluation started? We kind of hit that one a little bit.
The average evaluationary time to get started for an existing customer is 1 day turnaround. So once you reach out to us and we begin talking with you, you can have it the next day.
Great. Another question that came in is, are there any prerequisites to getting started?
There are a couple prerequisites to getting started. From an iOS perspective, Apple does require that you have a APNS certificate, and that's for the Apple Push Notification Service. To do that, you have to sign up for an Apple development account through Apple's website. We have a good document we can point anybody that needs to get started from that perspective. Outside of that, Android doesn't have anything in terms of a prereq outside of 2.2 Android and higher on terms of your devices. And from the Exchange perspective, we support Exchange 2007 as well as Exchange 2010, and Lotus Traveler is 852 or higher.
Okay, another question in the queue here. How does remote wipe work on iOS? Is a client or app required on the endpoint? If the SIM's removed, can a device still be wiped? Sure.
So the remote wipe actually does work through the Apple Push notification process. When we push that wipe down, it goes over the air and to the device administrator device, who is going to be administrated by us. There's not a client or app required. You do have to be enrolled with our iOS MDM service. In terms of the SIM being removed, if the device is still on wireless, we'll still be able to reach it, but if, obviously if they remove all connectivity to the device, then we would not be able to reach it.
Great. Are there any other questions, folks? I think we hit all the ones that had come in through Q&A. Give you one more minute here.
And we do want to thank everyone for joining us today. We really appreciate everyone's time, and hopefully we've spurred your interest, and now you want to take advantage, if you're not already, of managing mobile devices.
Well, one just came in. Does MaaS360 provide any type of expense management capabilities?
Today we haven't done anything around the expense management capabilities in terms of, calls being made or roaming data transfer and all that sort of thing. We're continuing to look into, the feasibility of doing so, but today we do not provide that.
Yeah, we do have, which is a nice feature companies are leveraging, we do have the ability to track the asset from a purchasing information, from a business alignment. So I would say, and equate that to asset management and the numbers associated with that.
So, John, another one that just came in is related to licensing. So, for an existing customer that has existing laptop licenses, I guess the question is, can those also, if there's some that are still, I guess, maybe unused or they're below their limit, can they use those for managing iPhones and iPads?
It's a very good question. We treat a device as a device as a device, and data is data is data. And we think that's where the world is going as it relates to enterprise mobility management equals desktop management and mobile device management. So you reach out to us, and let's make sure, since customers may have different accounts and different contracts, let's make sure we dot some I's and cross some T's, and we'll address that one on an individual basis. Yep.
Okay. All right. Well, we've got a lot of good questions there. Thanks for your participation, everyone.
Yep, thank you very much. Appreciate you joining, and thanks for the Q&A, and look forward to speaking and interacting with folks going forward here.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.